Well, hello. I have not done a live chat since the last time I ended a trip and flew out of Amsterdam. So not sure if this is going to attract anybody's attention or if anybody's curious or not, but just wanted to reflect a little bit about the last 3 weeks. And right now I'm at the Detroit International Airport, where I landed just over 3 weeks ago and am concluding my trip here. I flew here 3 weeks ago with my bicycle from Los Angeles and planned to do a bicycle tour around Lake Erie. So Lake Erie proper. A lot of people thought that it was going to be hugging the coastline the entire way, and there were a couple days that I was on the lake, but for the most part just kind of Lake Erie proper. Ended up actually going up into Toronto and spending a few days in the Toronto area, which is on Lake Ontario. So call this a Great Lakes trip, I don't know. But I had a wonderful time, and the reasons why I get out and do these things is because I like to get out of my comfort zone. I like to get away from things that are too predictable. And I believe in structure, and that does keep me going. But it gets kind of bland after a while, and I think we all need to be challenged. And this is how I like to challenge myself. So I have a friend who lives in Seattle who likes to join me on these trips, and it's like, hey, you want to do Lake Erie? And we can hit a couple of roller coaster parks on the way. And he was, sure, let's do that. So I flew here, like I said, just over 3 weeks ago and met with him, and we set out. Amazing things happened. We happened to be going through Detroit on the day that a very old railroad station, actually I think it's like one of the oldest buildings in town. This station's been abandoned for like 40 years or so, and we happened to be going through the day they were having an open house because Ford company spent $1 billion regenerating this building and rejuvenating it, and we got to go inside and check it out and be part of the festivities. And for the locals here, it was like everything. It was such a big deal. So it was so great to be here for that. And went east, crossed over to Canada at Algonac, took a ferry, where we had a day of really, really bad headwinds. And that was about a 75-mile day. We were on dirt roads a lot of the way. And at one point, we had like 30 miles to go, and we found a McDonald's, and we're sitting in McDonald's just thinking, are there any hotels? Is there anything between here and where we're supposed to be? And we just couldn't find anything. And that's kind of when my mantra kicked in. I have a mantra that I use on these trips, which is, I always get where I'm going. So I always have to remind myself that. No matter how tough things get, I always do end up getting where I'm going. And we did. We made it to where we needed to be that night, had a wonderful evening, and continued on all the way into Toronto, where I spent 2 days at Canada's Wonderland. A friend of mine from Buffalo, New York, drove up and shared his love of roller coasters with me. And on one of the big roller coasters, he made the comment to me right before the big drop, just lean into it. And he's working on his fear heights, and I'm working on mine, and I followed his voice. I leaned into it, and I've been leaning into it ever since. So good thing to come out of this. Met another friend of mine in Niagara Falls. She was coming up in July from Connecticut, and I said, hey, can you tweak your trip a little bit and change the dates? And we can rendezvous, and we did. So I spent a couple days with her. Camping. She has a camper van, and so we stayed at a really nice campground outside of Darien Lake, near the Darien Lake Six Flags. My traveling companion did not want to be camping out. He wanted to be in air conditioning, so he continued on, and he covered about 120 miles more than I did. My final total right now is just over 800, so 800 miles for this trip around Lake Erie. So yeah, I stayed with my friend camping and got to go spend a day at Six Flags Darien Lake. So I had 2 days riding roller coasters at Canada's Wonderland, 1 day at Darien Lake, and then she drove me to Erie, Pennsylvania. Where I connected with my Sensenig friend family. These are people I met 38 years ago, and they're part of my family now, and they live in Pennsylvania, and they came up to meet me to go bowling. So I had an afternoon of bowling. Haven't gone bowling in probably 20 years at least. And then we joined with my travel companion and my other friend and went to Waldameer. Waldameer is another theme park, so that was the third park on the trip. And then we set off from there, said goodbye to my friend in Connecticut, and headed down to Cleveland, where we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then Cedar Point, where we spent 2 days at Cedar Point. Oh, gotta say that my friend at Darien Lake, when we were there, I'm afraid of heights. I didn't want to go on the Sky Screamer. That's always been a ride that I said I will never do. But I just felt confident enough that this was the time. I have the tools. I've been desensitized. Let's do it. And she was there to hold my hand on the Sky Ride. So got over that one. And then we went to Cedar Point for 2 days, where I got my roller coaster fill in. My count right now is over 360 roller coasters. If you're somebody out there who counts your roller coasters, I count mine. I've been on over 360 different roller coasters. And so after Cedar Point, 2 days left to get here to Detroit. Stayed with a wonderful person just outside of Toledo, and then kind of wrapped things up last night. My friend Philip had an early flight out of here to Seattle early in the morning today, so he left about 4 a.m. I said goodbye and went back to sleep. And after I got up, I rode my bicycle to REI, about 20 miles away. We had such a hot day yesterday. It was like in the 80s, but the temperature index said it was like around 97 or something. And stopped at a Burger King just to hydrate and get some air conditioning. And right as we pulled in, the sky opened up and it rained for about half an hour. It just poured. So perfect timing there with getting off the road. So today, everything was flooded. All the bike trails getting to REI were under like 6 to 8 inches of water. I took mostly streets to get there, which was fine with me. The wind was the problem. I had a massive headwind today. And believe me, we've had headwinds on this trip. You can't go in a circle and not have a headwind. Sooner or later, you're going to have a headwind. So not every day was bad as winds were on the trip, but we did have mostly head and side winds and a few tailwinds. But today, pretty strong headwind. And the temperatures have dropped down to 65 degrees. So all of a sudden, I was cycling in like what's the equivalent of one of the worst days in Southern California in the winter. But to sum it all up, one of the things I learned on this trip was patience. To really practice working on my patience. I'm getting older. My friend Philip is getting older. He used to be a lot faster than me, and now I'm the one that's always in the front. But it's all good. We all get to the same place. We all get there together. We all have a good time. So I've really worked on slowing down my expectations and being in the moment, being around all the trees. It is so green here, not like Southern California back home. Everywhere you look is green. The sunsets have been amazing. When the sky isn't cloudy and it's blue, the blue just pops and it makes all the green trees and everything pop that much more. Just really have enjoyed being here and just trying to be patient. And when I feel impatient, either eat something to raise my blood sugar or to accept the moment and just be in the moment, knowing that, you know, the moment's going to pass soon enough. Just need to sit back and enjoy it. So this moment here is going to pass soon enough, and tomorrow I'm going to be back at work seeing familiar faces and doing familiar things, and back to my routine of my everyday structure. But for the next hour or so, I'm just going to hang out in this airport and just enjoy being here and being in this moment and reflecting on all the great times and miles that I have completed. So thank you for watching. Some of you have followed my journey. And thanks for your support. And with that, I will see you when I get to California.